Take a moment to pause and consider this. If there were a pill that could help you live longer, improve your memory, boost creativity, stabilize your emotions, maintain a healthy weight, and reduce your risk of serious illnesses like cancer or Alzheimer's, would you take it? The good news is that pill exists, but it isn't made in a lab, it's not sold in pharmacies, and it doesn't require a prescription. That miracle remedy is sleep. In today's society, we often pride ourselves on working late, sleeping less to make the most of our time, and treating sleep as a luxury we can cut back on. Sometimes, sleep deprivation is even misinterpreted as a sign of ambition, productivity, or a badge of honor. But science tells us the opposite. Dr. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist and leading expert on sleep at the University of California, has spent decades researching the inner workings of human sleep. In his book, Why We Sleep, he not only shares groundbreaking insights into the biology of sleep, but also issues a sobering warning: neglecting sleep may be one of the greatest public health mistakes of our time. One of his most striking statements is, "Sleep is the single most effective thing we can do to reset our brain and body health each day, yet it's the one we most routinely neglect." Sleep isn't simply a passive state of rest. It is a period during which the brain and body undergo deep restoration. It's when memories are consolidated, emotions are regulated, immune cells are replenished, and the wear and tear of the day is silently repaired. Sleep is not laziness. It is a biological necessity as fundamental as breathing and eating. Lack of sleep doesn't just make you tired, it damages your heart, impairs memory, disrupts hormones, weakens immunity, and even affects your financial decision-making. So before you commit to a new diet, fitness regimen, or expensive supplement, ask yourself, am I truly sleeping enough? This video will take you on a journey to rediscover sleep, not as a dispensable habit, but as a vital cornerstone for living well, deeply, and meaningfully. Behind Why We Sleep stands one of the world's leading sleep scientists, Professor Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist and director of the Center for Human Sleep Science at the University of California, Berkeley. For more than 2 decades, he has explored the profound relationship between sleep and nearly every aspect of human health, from learning memory and emotional regulation to immunity and the risk of chronic diseases. This book is not just a summary of scientific findings. It is a compelling, human-centered wake-up call to a modern world that often sacrifices sleep in favor of work, social media, or a hectic pace of life. Why We Sleep is not written like a dry medical text. Instead, Walker guides you like a wise storyteller, gently explaining the mechanisms of sleep, revealing startling truths about the consequences of sleep deprivation, and ultimately offering practical steps to restore something that should be simple, yet is now elusive: a full, restful night's sleep. His goal is not to scare or scold, but to change the way we think about sleep, shifting it from something optional or expendable to something essential. Because without sleep, we cannot thrive physically, mentally, or emotionally. Each night as we drift into sleep, the body and brain enter a complex, precise, and profoundly essential biological process. Yet in daily life, sleep is often treated as optional, something that can be shortened, delayed, or pushed aside. But through the lens of modern neuroscience, sleep is no longer seen as laziness or passivity. It is a sophisticated, orchestrated sequence of biological events designed to repair, restore, and recalibrate nearly every system within us. Sleep doesn't happen by accident. It is governed by an internal biological clock known as the circadian rhythm, which follows an approximately 24-hour cycle, aligning with the rising and setting of the sun. During daylight, sunlight suppresses melatonin, the hormone that signals sleep, helping us remain alert. At night, as darkness falls, melatonin is released, gently guiding the body into a restful state. But this is only the beginning of the sleep journey. Once we fall asleep, the body doesn't shut down. It shifts into an entirely different mode of functioning. Throughout the night, we cycle through distinct stages of sleep organized into 2 major categories: NREM, non-rapid eye movement, and REM, rapid eye movement sleep. These stages alternate roughly every 90 minutes, forming 4 to 6 cycles per night, and each stage plays a vital, irreplaceable role in maintaining our mental and physical health. During NREM sleep, which dominates the first half of the night, brain activity slows, and the body enters a state of deep physical restoration. It is in this stage that the brain consolidates short-term memories into long-term storage repairs. Tissues strengthens the immune system and regenerates cells. Especially during the deepest phases of NREM, also known as slow-wave sleep, a unique system called the glymphatic system becomes highly active. This system acts like a cleansing mechanism, flushing out metabolic waste from the brain, including beta amyloid, a protein linked to the development of Alzheimer's disease. Following NREM, the body transitions into REM sleep, during which the eyes move rapidly under closed lids, and the brain becomes nearly as active as it is during waking life. This is the stage where vivid dreams occur, but behind those dream images lies a suite of essential neurological functions. REM sleep enables the brain to link new experiences with existing knowledge, forming innovative insights and problem-solving pathways. It also plays a critical role in emotional processing. Walker describes REM sleep as a form of overnight therapy, helping us recover from the emotional toll of the day and re-establish psychological balance provided we get enough of it. A full night of healthy sleep includes multiple NREM-REM cycles. In the early part of the night, NREM dominates, supporting physical healing. Toward morning, REM stages lengthen and deepen, enhancing emotional stability and creativity. This sequencing is crucial. When you shorten your sleep even by just 1 or 2 hours, you disproportionately lose REM sleep. The result is not just grogginess, but a brain less capable of empathy, emotional regulation, and adaptive thinking. What's more, the body has no true mechanism for making up lost sleep. Many people believe they can sleep in on weekends to compensate for weekday deprivation, but the science tells a different story. The specific cycles missed during a night of insufficient sleep, especially deep NREM and REM, are not recovered in the same way. The brain and body simply skip over essential repairs. Sleep deprivation, therefore, is not a minor inconvenience. It is a biological disruption with wide-ranging consequences. It undermines the carefully evolved processes that maintain cognitive clarity, emotional resilience, metabolic regulation, and cellular health. Whether you're a student studying for exams, a professional managing deadlines, or a parent caring for a child, the truth remains: sleep is non-negotiable. Matthew Walker doesn't write about sleep as a detached scientist, but as someone trying to rekindle our relationship with a forgotten ally. In the modern world, sleep is something we are gradually losing, often without noticing. And perhaps the most important step toward reclaiming our health and well-being is to rediscover the value of sleep not as wasted time, but as the foundation upon which clarity, strength, and emotional balance are built. We live in a society that treats busyness as a badge of honor. Working late, sleeping less, waking early. These habits are often praised as signs of commitment and productivity. But beneath this surface of efficiency, sleep deprivation is quietly taking a toll, affecting every biological system in the body. And the most concerning part, we often don't realize how serious it is until it's too late. One of the first and most obvious consequences of insufficient sleep is cognitive decline. Neuroscientific studies have shown that just one night of sleep loss can impair learning and memory by up to 40%. This happens because the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, functions poorly when deprived of rest. In a well-known experiment, 2 groups of students were asked to memorize a list of words. One group had a full night's sleep. The other stayed awake. The sleep-deprived group remembered significantly less. It wasn't just about feeling tired, their brains had lost the ability to convert experience into memory. Beyond memory, sleep deprivation severely weakens the immune system, the body's natural line of defense. Just one night of sleeping less than 4 hours can reduce the number of natural killer cells which combat cancer by up to 70%. Walker cites population studies showing a clear link between chronic sleep loss and increased risk of cancers, including breast, colon, and prostate cancer. The World Health Organization has even classified night shift work as a probable carcinogen, largely because of its long-term disruption of circadian rhythms. Sleep also plays a powerful role in cardiovascular health. You might be surprised to learn that simply losing 1 hour of sleep, such as during the spring shift to daylight saving time, is associated with a 24% spike in heart attacks the following day. Conversely, gaining an hour in the fall correlates with a noticeable drop in risk. Over time, chronic sleep loss raises blood pressure, disrupts heart rhythms, and increases the likelihood of stroke or cardiac arrest. Then there's the impact on metabolism and hormone regulation. Sleep deprivation significantly disrupts the balance of hunger-related hormones. Ghrelin, which triggers appetite, rises. Leptin, which signals fullness, drops. This hormonal imbalance drives unhealthy food cravings, especially for sugary and high-fat foods. Unsurprisingly, lack of sleep has been closely linked to rising obesity rates. Even more concerning is its effect on insulin sensitivity. As Walker explains, just 1 week of sleeping less than 5 hours per night can push a healthy person into a pre-diabetic state. The damage isn't limited to what happens inside the body. It also plays out in real-world consequences, especially on the road. People who sleep fewer than 6 hours per night are significantly more likely to cause traffic accidents than even those who are legally intoxicated. The reason sleep deprivation increases the risk of microsleep's brief moments where the brain shuts down completely for a few seconds, even while the eyes remain open. On a highway, a few seconds is more than enough to create disaster. One study found that drivers with severe sleep deprivation were 11 times more likely to be involved in crashes. Sleep, therefore, is not just about wellness, it's a matter of survival. Perhaps one of the most subtle yet profound effects of insufficient sleep is its impact on mental health. During REM sleep, the stage when dreams occur, the brain processes and integrates emotional experiences. It acts as a form of natural therapy, helping us recover from stress, regulate mood, and process complex feelings. Without enough REM sleep, the emotional control centers of the brain become dysregulated. The amygdala, responsible for fear and aggression, becomes hyperactive. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for impulse control, weakens. As a result, people become more irritable, anxious, and emotionally unstable. It's no coincidence that nearly all psychiatric conditions, including depression, anxiety disorders, and bipolar disorder, are accompanied by disturbed sleep. But Walker suggests that sleep issues are not just symptoms, they may be contributing causes. All of this leads to a sobering truth: sleep deprivation doesn't just make us tired, it makes us weaker, physically, mentally, emotionally, and even in our ability to make good decisions. We are paying a steep price for stealing time from our nights. It is slow, silent, and constant. In Why We Sleep. Matthew Walker doesn't try to scare the reader. He simply presents the evidence clearly, calmly, and powerfully. The conclusion is hard to ignore. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. If there is one meaningful act of self-care to begin today, it is this: give yourself permission to sleep. Not because you're lazy, but because it may just save your life. When we think about self-improvement, we often imagine learning a new skill, reading more books, exercising regularly, or changing our diet. Yet there is one fundamental element often overlooked that has the potential to enhance nearly every aspect of our lives, from memory and creativity to emotional balance and mental health. That element is sleep. One of the most profound benefits of sleep lies in its ability to help the brain learn faster and remember longer. In Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker explains in detail how sleep supports memory consolidation in 2 critical phases: before learning and after. Sleeping before a learning task helps the brain clear out short-term memory storage, creating room for new information. Sleeping afterward allows the brain, especially during non-REM sleep, to solidify, organize, and integrate what was learned. This is why individuals who sleep both before and after studying consistently perform better on tests and complex cognitive tasks. But sleep is not only a tool for sharper thinking, it's also a powerful stabilizer of emotion. We often think of stress as something imposed from the outside world. In truth, our ability to cope with stress comes from within, and sleep plays a central role in that capacity. During REM sleep, the brain revisits and processes emotional experiences from the day, regulating the activity of the amygdala, the brain's fear and stress center. Without sufficient REM, this emotional processing system becomes imbalanced. The result: increased reactivity, lower emotional control, and a tendency to overreact to minor challenges. In this way, sleep is a quiet medicine for the nervous system, helping you wake up the next day calmer, more grounded, and more capable of responding wisely to life's demands. Beyond emotional stability, sleep is also the birthplace of creativity and insight, qualities that have shaped the most extraordinary aspects of human advancement. Research has shown that people who sleep on a problem are more likely to discover novel solutions, especially those who enter REM sleep. The dreaming brain doesn't just reinforce what we already know, it forms new connections between seemingly unrelated pieces of information, fostering breakthrough ideas. Many artists, scientists, and innovators throughout history have credited deep sleep for their aha moments. Sleep, it seems, is not only restorative, but generative. In addition to boosting learning, emotion, and creativity, sleep serves as a natural detoxification system for the brain. While we are awake, the brain accumulates metabolic waste, including harmful proteins like beta amyloid. If left unchecked, these substances can impair neural communication and are linked to degenerative conditions like Alzheimer's disease. The glymphatic system, a specialized cleaning network in the brain, becomes highly active during deep sleep. It works like a subtle filtration system, flushing out toxins and maintaining neural health. This cleaning process is only fully operational when we're asleep, underscoring the importance of both quantity and quality of rest. In many ways, sleep offers the highest return on investment in health. It requires no expensive equipment, no complex programs, no memberships. All it asks is that we respect it, and in return, it supports nearly every process that keeps us physically and mentally resilient. It's a paradox of our modern world in a culture saturated with information about nutrition, exercise, and productivity. Something as simple as sleep is often ignored. But as Matthew Walker reminds us, sleep is not a waste of time. It is a form of renewal. Every night, your body is repaired, your mind is sharpened, your spirit is soothed. And it all begins with one quiet choice to prioritize sleep, not as an indulgence, but as an act of self-respect, of wisdom, and of care for the person you are becoming. If sleep is so vital, if it helps us learn better, stay healthier, manage emotions, and even live longer, then why do so many people still struggle to get enough of it? The answer is not simply a matter of personal discipline. It lies in the profound shifts that have taken place in our environment, our work culture, our technology, and even in how we understand time itself. One of the most significant reasons is the urban pace of life and the cultural glorification of being busy. We live in an era where staying up late, working long hours, and grinding through the night are often seen as signs of dedication and success. In many professional settings, getting enough sleep is sometimes viewed as a lack of ambition. This creates a troubling paradox. The more sleep we lose, the more praise we receive, and the less likely we are to notice the slow erosion of our well-being. Beyond social pressure, technology plays a key role in sleep disruption. Screens from phones, computers, and televisions emit blue light, which suppresses the release of melatonin, the hormone that signals the body it's time to rest. When blue light exposure continues into the evening, it throws off our biological clock, making it harder to fall into deep, restorative sleep. Additionally, the content we consume before bed, emails, social media, news, is often stimulating and emotionally charged, making it difficult for the brain to settle down. Another less discussed but equally important factor is the industrialized schedule, especially for children and shift workers. In many school systems, students are required to begin classes very early in the morning, despite strong scientific evidence that adolescents have a delayed biological clock and need to sleep later. Matthew Walker refers to this as a battle between biology and society, and unfortunately, children often lose. The same applies to adults working night shifts, a population the World Health Organization has labeled as high risk for circadian disruption and long-term health issues. In addition to rigid schedules, the fast-paced multitasking culture of the digital age encourages us to treat sleep as negotiable. When the to-do list feels endless, sleep is usually the first thing sacrificed. But sleep doesn't operate on a deficit and recovery model. You can't simply make up for lost REM and deep sleep by sleeping in on weekends. When sleep is cut short day after day, the biological consequences quietly accumulate, creating long-term damage that can't be undone with a single night's rest. We must also acknowledge the psychological barrier, the guilt associated with rest. In modern culture, rest is often conflated with laziness. This mindset pushes many people to stay awake, even when they're exhausted, as a way to prove their value. Matthew Walker calls this a cultural tragedy, a world in which people sacrifice their health just to maintain the image of productivity, even as their physical and mental resilience slowly deteriorate. Taken together, these factors, technological, social, cultural, and educational, have created an environment in which sleep is no longer protected. It is not treated as a biological necessity, but as an optional activity, something to delay, shorten, or replace with passive forms of rest, like scrolling, streaming, or caffeine. Understanding why we don't sleep enough is not about assigning blame. It's about seeing clearly sleep is not only lacking, it is deeply misunderstood. And from that misunderstanding comes the opportunity for change, not driven by guilt or pressure, but by a gentler awareness that choosing to sleep is not a weakness. It is an intelligent, necessary, and profoundly human act of self-respect. Once we understand the vital role sleep plays in our health and the serious consequences of not getting enough, a natural question follows. How can we sleep better, more deeply, and more consistently? The good news is that you don't need expensive technology, prescription medication, or complex interventions. Most of what you need lies in your daily habits and how you prepare your mind and body for rest. Sleep is a natural biological process, but it is highly sensitive to external factors. To support that process, sleep scientists recommend focusing on what's known as sleep hygiene, a set of behaviors and environmental cues that help promote high-quality sleep. Let's begin with the most important foundation: maintaining a consistent sleep schedule even on weekends. Our bodies operate best when our internal clock, the circadian rhythm, remains stable. Sleeping in on weekends, even just a few hours later, can shift that clock out of sync, making it harder to fall asleep and wake up during the week. Over time, this leads to irregular sleep cycles and chronic fatigue. Next, optimize your sleeping environment. A good bedroom for sleep should be quiet, dark, and cool, ideally around 18 to 20 degrees Celsius, 64-68 degree Celsius. Light noise and excessive warmth are some of the most common disruptors of deep sleep. You can use blackout curtains, white noise machines, or earplugs to create a space that supports rest. Limit screen time before bed, especially in the hour leading up to sleep. Devices such as phones, laptops, and TVs emit blue light, which suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone that helps your body wind down. Instead of scrolling or watching stimulating content, try reading a paper book, listening to soft music, or simply sitting quietly in dim light to let your brain transition into a relaxed state. Be mindful of caffeine, which can remain in the body for 6 to 8 hours. A cup of coffee at 3 p.m. might still be affecting your ability to fall asleep at 11 p.m. If you're having trouble sleeping or waking too early, try avoiding caffeine after noon and see how your body responds. Alcohol, though it may initially make you feel sleepy, is another common disruptor. It fragments sleep, particularly deep sleep and REM cycles, leading to poorer quality rest and more frequent awakenings. Additionally, avoid heavy meals close to bedtime, as digestion can raise your body temperature and interfere with your ability to fall asleep. If you're hungry at night, opt for something light and easy to digest, like a small handful of nuts or warm milk. Establishing a pre-sleep ritual. A consistent sequence of calming activities can help signal to your brain that it's time to rest. This could include brushing your teeth, washing your face, reading a few pages of a book, or drinking herbal tea. The content of the routine doesn't matter as much as its consistency and soothing rhythm. Also consider dimming the lights in your home 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Soft, warm lighting helps your brain begin the natural transition to sleep. On the other hand, harsh white or blue-tinted lighting can trick your body into staying alert longer than necessary. A surprisingly helpful strategy is this: if you can't fall asleep after about 20 minutes, don't stay in bed feeling frustrated. Instead, get up and do something quiet in another room, like reading under low light. Return to bed only when you feel sleepy again. This helps your brain maintain a positive association between the bed and sleep, rather than with anxiety or overthinking. Finally, reserve your bed for sleep and rest only. Try not to work. Watch movies or scroll through your phone while in bed. When your brain learns that the bed is strictly for sleeping, it becomes easier to transition into rest when you lie down. These small, intentional changes, when practiced consistently, can make a profound difference. High-quality sleep is not a luxury. It's a gift you can give yourself every night. A quiet form of self-care that supports your physical health, sharpens your mind, and restores emotional balance. In a world full of advice for self-improvement, from diets and fitness routines to productivity hacks, there is one foundational element that often goes unnoticed: sleep. It doesn't make noise, it doesn't boast quick results, and it doesn't come with shiny promises. But quietly and consistently, sleep nourishes every dimension of your life. Sleep is not a luxury reserved for the idle. It is a biological necessity, shaped over millions of years of evolution to help us live better, think more clearly, and feel more deeply connected to life. When you sleep enough, you don't just feel more energetic. You learn faster, regulate emotions more easily, strengthen your immune system, and make better decisions. If you're looking for one small habit that could change your life in a lasting way, start by giving yourself the gift of enough sleep each night. You don't need a radical transformation. You simply need to bring your attention back to something essential, rest full-timely and intentional. Sleep won't solve every problem, but it will help you become the strongest version of yourself to face them. A clearer mind, a restored body, a steadier heart. If this video has made you pause, reflect, or recognize something about your own life or someone you care about, then share it. Because what you share today may help someone live healthier tomorrow, beginning with just one peaceful night of sleep.